Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Uh, so this time we got 6 stories, an odd number because as I was going through this list, seems like one author decided to delete his account or something. So like the stories aren't actually accessible on fanfiction.net anymore. So uh, it's actually, and I actually had two of his stories on my list. So later on, there'll be another like 6 story episode, 6 story video left. But yeah, so let's dive into these 6 stories, starting with rereading "The Ever Twisting Winds: The Lightning Thief" by Bones Boy 15. So this is a reaction story to a remake of a story that they had already reacted to in universe and stuff. Um, where this was the Percy Jackson crew and the gods reacting to a series of stories where a female Harry Potter was like various children of the big three, and this was a remake of the first story of that femme Harry as the daughter of Zeus. Um, yeah, and overall, this it doesn't help that like the story that is like the remake is pretty much the same. Like there are changes, but it's very minor. One thing is that she's not in the remake. She's not also a legacy of Aphrodite as she was in the original version, and like maybe some of the things that happen is a little different, but like overall, all the same plot, the same beats are being followed because it's obviously retelling the first Percy Jackson book and such. But also the other point is the comments that are being made in the reaction portion of it are pretty much the same thing that was being said in the first one, and like either like even commenting where it's just like instead of having any reaction they'll just say, oh, they said the same kind of stuff that they said the last time this came up, or literally because some new reactors got added, just being like, oh, this person just said that, like we said that the first time, like that's there, like so it's kind of just dull. And then like the only things that are new or like continuing in terms of reaction at least is the same sniping between the various gods over the same plot, over the same arguments over and over again, and that's just always there. um so yeah, I wouldn't come back to this as a favorite because the reaction bit of the series itself is not great, and the whole story itself is incomplete because they don't go through it. So if you just want to read it as a continuation of the series, that'll leave you unsatisfied. I just like yeah, the only reason I would read this is if you wanted to read it as a whole and just continue and you would come across it. But like as it is right now, it's gonna fall off my list. Number 2 is "Go Away, I'm Watching Porn" by Third Fang. So this is a high school DxD fic where Issei is like super strong and super OP, but then something happens to him, and then he reverts to basically being a depressed shut-in at the beginning of the story, beginning of what the actual anime starts, like the canon. Um, and I like it a lot. Like Issei here is a very enjoyable character. He's the entertaining OP asshole, which I enjoy. Like I enjoy his character a lot. You get a lot of fun with him showing off his powers while also keeping himself at a distance to the main cast and such because of his issues. And also like the way he does it is just by being a dick and infuriating everybody around him. So that's entertaining. And then the story flows from the start of like where the show starts, but we constantly get flashbacks to Issei's past and we see how he became what he was. Like first it's a large portion of like as he was as a kid, like how he got his OPness, like his superpower strength and such, and then afterwards we get to the big reveal of why, because like as a kid he's very happy and like joyful, and then we get to what caused him to be so depressed and a shut-in, and that happens around like the reveal during the Riser wedding arc, like the reveal of that, and then after that, there's also, because there's still time between that moment and now, so it's just the flashback is continuing. So it's essentially a two-tiered story that we're seeing go through in linear order. Um, I think it's really good. Like, Issei feels like a well done depiction of a broken person, and the story highlights both how long it takes for somebody to heal and how fast they can relapse in progress. And like, I think it's great. It's still like continuing and getting updates, so like that's really great. I like this a lot. It's going to stay on my list. Number 3 is reading Naruto The New Moon Rabbit by the Chef Shipwreck 5897. And this is a reaction fic to a remake of a story that they already reacted to. But the big difference here is the remake is very different in terms of plot and the moment and like, you know, actual story beats from the original story. Like, that, and that changes everything. So that means that, okay, it's essentially a new story, even though like it's considered a remake from like the same base idea. Like, it's a remake in the sense of, oh hey, I had this idea of Naruto as a you know, rabbit faunus in Ruby, and that's going to be the main thing, and I'm going to tell a story based on that. So that same idea is there, but then things happen very differently. There's still like a couple unique characters, but again, like the main thing is the plots, and the story that's happening is very different. And also, unlike the other story that was there, this one also gets new characters, but they're talking about they're reacting to different things. They're also reacting to or asking and like talking about the previous stories in reaction to it, not just the now. So that's all new. With that said, though, the reactions aren't like amazing or like super thing. Like, they're in the middle end of amusing, and the story, like the others of this particular series, is unfinished with no other continuation. So like, this is just the end of it, where you have, you know, a bunch of like, you know, you have Ruby and Juniper eventually getting angry at their mysterious host while reading, and that keeps stripping them every now and then with occasional sex jokes. It's fun enough for you know, for a read, but it's not something I'd look forward to revisit, so it's gonna fall off my list. Next, like, this is like another remake essentially. This story is a Weeb by Andreas, and this is essentially a remake of his story Harry Potter the Geek, with this one being a focus on specifically anime tropes instead of just general nerd culture like that one was. There are, again, changes. Like, the first story, the Geek, started at Harry's 5th year, whereas this one starts before even, like, it sets up that he became an anime nerd as a child, and like immediately goes to his first year, and that also leads to a fact that he has a very different relationship to, you know, the Dursleys and everybody, and all the other people he goes to at Hogwarts with, because all these changes happened before he even started Hogwarts, whereas there it's very much same set of relationships, but then the change occurs during the 5th year. The overall flow is pretty similar, but there's a big change. Like, you know, the house changes occurs, so that leads to some different, different connections being made, things happening. It flows differently like this. It goes through this, like, I think it's 6 years, if I remember correctly. It goes through 6 years of Hogwarts and then ending. And, you know, it's just really fun, like Harry being a non-apologetic weeb here and bearing his anime desires on his sleeve for everybody is fun. And, you know, his friend group of, you know, Sully, Anthony, Padma, and Hermione work pretty well against him and against each other as well. And, you know, I just found myself constantly giggling and laughing while reading this. And even... like I said, it completes the Hogwarts story and deals with Voldemort, so overall I give it a solid recommendation. It stays on my list. Number 5 is Romantic Overtures by Rack. And this is not really much to say. It's a short one shot in the Haruhi Suzumiya universe. That's basically just a bit of fluff that involves the SOS Brigade basically pairing up into 2 couples. You know, it's fine. You know, small bit of amusement, short and sweet, but not something I would really revisit. So this one's gonna fall off my list. And then the last one for this video is also by Rack. This one is titled Squirrel's Luck. And this is a Naruto fic that is basically a competent Sakura story where Sakura doesn't go on to the team because it's a female Naruto. So Naruto basically takes the female position of Team 7, and then Sai gets added on as her teammate. And so after that, Sakura gets put on some other team that fails their Genin exam, and she becomes a career Genin in, like, you know, the squad of nobodies that never doesn't get any focus in the anime or such, but like had to exist for a economy, or like, you know, the world of the ninja world to actually, you know, sustain itself. And I think Rack does a really good job here painting a picture of that system, and that would be needed, as well as showing a culture dynamic between the people that would be part of those cannon fodder systems and the, like, you know, the people, the Genin teams the show shows and focuses on. And like Sakura's early stubbornness morphs her into an interesting character because of that, as that new life hits her hard. And then it wraps up into a bunch of fluff with her and Naruto, which I just found super adorable and enjoyable. And then also, like, it still wraps itself up nicely with wrapping up a bit of a plot and a plot thread that actually goes on, and it tells like a decent story. So this one's more than just fluff, but the fluff helps a lot. I like this a lot. It's going to stay on my list. So there we go. 6 stories on this video. So fanfiction status time. I've now read 1,215 stories, and 561 of them have managed to stay on my list. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, I will leave links in the description, as well as, you know, like a bunch of links to like playlists and my playlist of all these videos, forum where I post this in written form, and my profile itself. So if you want to see the stories that are still on my list and the ones yet to come, you can give that a look. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.